My name is Debbie Cook, and I'm running for Mariposa County Supervisor District 2. My husband Steve and I moved to the Coulterville area in 2002, and I have been communicating, collaborating, and connecting ever since then. I do have other campaign experience, and that would be running for honorary mayor of Coulterville in 2012, Mayor Fanny DeFlame. I still hold the office, I believe, only because we haven't had another contest. So I was able to sell $4,000 worth of rocks, and that's how I won, but that's not going to work here. So we'll move on from that. It was a fun experience regardless. So why am I here? 4 years ago, I was asked by Lyle Turpin to run for this position, and I was working a full-time job in Modesto. Still had some involvement with the John Muir Geotourism Center, and was already working with the Foothill Express in taking over that newspaper. So I was not ready to take on the position, however Merlin was. So fast forward 4 years, and here we are. So thinking through this, I admit that I am nervous, but I'm confident that if I don't know an answer, I am more than qualified to find out, and if I need to learn something, I am more than capable of learning it. So I'm not going into this lightly, and I truly believe that with the help of the community, the communities, and the county, that I can make a difference. So we're going through some very tough times, and also some very exciting times in our county. We all know we have a desperate water issue with the drought and all, and we have some major concerns over in the Lake Don Pedro area. We have the tree mortality issue. Exciting is economic vitality strategy, which is being worked on. So I'm excited to be coming in on that pretty much where everyone else is as far as reports that are being shared. We have internet and cell phone service. That's been an issue for as long as I've lived in the county. And then we have volunteerism. So 5 things I would like to see for our district. There's increased volunteerism, more monthly town meetings, more communication. I'm big on communication. It's the best thing, and actually the first thing we need to do to get anything out there. If you're not communicating, nothing's going to happen. We need to have a better understanding of community and county services and how we can better utilize them. Collaboration. We need to come together, both North County, South County, whatever, there's not supposed to be a separation. We are one county, but facts are facts, and it's been that way since I've lived on the other side of the river, let's just say. So there's a lot that could happen just by collaborating, and so I would like to see more of that, and connecting and networking. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate Jones?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to tell everybody a little bit about myself. I believe in personal property rights. I believe in the Second Amendment. And me and my wife will have our CCWs by the end of the year. And I have a shotgun beside my bed. The other thing is I feel like I'm the only experienced business person running in District 2. When I retired in 2005, I had 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I had to pay over the 50 employees. I had to make sure every Friday that I had the money to pay all these employees. That's not easy sometimes. And the reason I tell you this is because in doing so, I understand the finances of the county in large dollars. When I looked at the county, one of the things that I noticed most when I was running was there were some department heads, in my opinion, that were not doing a good job. First of all, we'll start with the fire chief. He had a $4 million project to build fire stations, and he went $1.5 million over budget. And I said that then, I'll say it now, and the private sector head would roll. He's no longer working for the county. The CAO was not getting along with the department heads, and in my opinion was not running the county right, was not spending the county's money properly. He's no longer working here. Public Works was not getting projects done on time, so consequently we're going to lose our grant money. I did not want that to happen. The Health and Human Resources department head, he was not funding each department properly, so the county is going to be held liable. I tell you this because in business you learn when to lead people and when not to, and so these people are no longer working for us. We have some great people now that are taken in place. Also, too, I wanted to make sure that we had a great deal signed with MID, because this is going to protect our children for the next 50 years. So that's why I'm running again, to make sure that we get a great deal from MID. And I feel like we need somebody on the board with some business experience to help everybody else, and that's why I'm running. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Menetrey, please.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Thank you. My name is Miles Menetrey, and I have been in Mariposa County for 26 years. I came out of Santa Cruz County after losing my home down there in the earthquake, and what a blessing it was to come to this community. Since being here, I've been heavily involved in the community. I've worked with the Mariposa County Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue for 15 years. I'm a member of the Lions Club. I have cooked for most of the fundraisers that have come through the fairgrounds, and I'm just very involved in the community, and I would like to take this step to represent the folks in District 5 as their district supervisor. I also have experience with tourism. For the first 10 years I was in the county, we were down in El Portal. We own and manage the Indian Flat RV Park down there, and sold it after the issues with the highway. First, was the flood in '97 came through. Right after things leveled out, after that, Ferguson started sliding, and we made the decision to sell the property. And I continue my general contracting license. I would appreciate your consideration on June 7th.
Thank you. Candidate Carrier?
First, I just want to thank the AAUW, the citizens that are here tonight, Gold Rush Cann, the local radio station, Public Works Park and Rec, and Public Works Facilities for hosting this, and especially Chris Casco. She's been hard at work doing this, putting this together along with others, and so hopefully, Chris, take 2 or 3 days off, sit down in your gazebo and enjoy a glass of wine. But I'm John Carrier. I am District 5 Supervisor and current Chair of the Board of Supervisors. I first ran for office 3.5 years ago based on my skill set for leadership, fiscal responsibility, and public safety. During my first term in office, I have provided valuable resolutions to a wide range of challenges through successful use of available resources. Over the years, I have developed positive and distinctive leadership qualities that have helped mold the county into a cohesive, productive unit by entering into productive partnerships, both public and private, as well as fostering an environment of mutual respect, collaboration, communication, and cooperation. I believe I have the unique ability to coordinate efforts towards the attainment of common goals. By re-electing me, you are retaining the experience and skill sets I have developed and fostered during my first term in office. The relationships that the county has cultivated with outside stakeholders, including Yosemite National Park, University of California, Merced, CAL FIRE, and various state agencies, and also the communication and cooperation of our state and local elected officials. I am starting to see results of my efforts and have enjoyed the collaboration and communications with various departments and agencies as we move towards these goals. I believe I am successful. If I am successful in being re-elected, I can continue those goals as well as others and continue to create an environment that attracts ideas and investors to collaborate on the economic growth of Mariposa County. I believe through collaboration with stakeholders, Mariposa County can be an incubator of ideas and humanities that can pay dividends moving forward. I am doing this because I have seen how successful my children have have been growing up in Mariposa. And now I want to make this community a vibrant place, not only for my grandchildren, but for future generations that can grow up, have job opportunities, and stay in the community and give back to the community, and be able to pass that culture on to their kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to ask Cann and Supervisor Cann to come up here and speak. And this is a time when you should hand in all your questions if you have another question, please get your index cards out, and in 2 minutes we'll start to rank the questions and be presented to us. And I did want to mention that there is a third candidate for District 2, Thane Suderman, and he was invited tonight. And he did say he was going to be here tonight.
I also want to thank you all for coming, and especially AAUW. They do this every election cycle, and it's a real good service to the community. You know, I didn't decide to run for a third term until about December of last year, when I started to perceive a bit of a convergence of the public and the board on a desire for some action, a desire to move forward. And so I gave that some thought, and it was enough to get me over the hump. You know, I ran against 4 other candidates, including an incumbent back in 2008, ran unopposed in 2012, and now, of course, and I've done a lot of research on the issue, and I have decided it's a lot more fun to run unopposed than against 4 You know, I work a lot with the Rural Counties Association, which is the 35 most rural counties in California, and I've learned that Mariposa County is distinctly different. We have no incorporated towns or cities. Therefore, the board member, the District 2 supervisor, the District 5 supervisors vote has as much weight on things in the town of Mariposa, in my district, as mine does. And so that's a really unique thing. We decide what sidewalks get replaced in Mariposa, what storm sewers get replaced in Kohlerville, and what conditions go on the Silvertip Lodge proposal in Fish Camp, and on and on. So you really have to work together. You can't hold grudges, I can tell you that. I may be really mad at Marshall at the end of this Tuesday, but by next Tuesday, we have got to be on a good working relationship, or everybody loses. And I think that's a good thing. You know, I'm not working on one single thing that was on the table in 2009 when I started. We have to be pretty flexible. So many of you that I work with on so many issues, the homeless issue. There was no homeless issue that we admitted to in 2009. The MID issue, the Merced Irrigation District contract and litigation that Merlin spoke of, the parking district in downtown that's been inspired for 15 years, the tree mortality, you know, it's engulfed us all. It is a huge issue. The fairgrounds. The governor has decided that, you know, we didn't have to worry about the fairgrounds. It was a state entity, it was state funded, and we enjoyed it. Now, it's a state entity, the governor controls it, and you pay for it. And that's the way it's going to be until we can find a different way to make that happen. So we're grappling with that right now. Solid waste issues, you know, we had just christened a new state-of-the-art co-compost facility. Now we're trying to figure out what do we do with the rest of the 30-year loan or 40-year loan that we have on that facility that we still owe 30. That whole world is evolving, and that's what we have to do on a very regular basis. We're making a lot of economic development noise now, and I like that. And again, back in December, we went out to the public. We got huge public input, more than on any other issue, on what we should do about economic development here. And I've been really encouraged by the responses that we got. There was a significant consensus of the top 3 or 4 issues that we should be working on. And while we commit to some long-term things, I am certainly committed to making sure that this board can't set aside the top 3 or 4 things that have universal, almost universal consensus amongst our public. You should you should not be happy with us if we don't act on all of your input. So I'm looking very forward to doing that. But at the end of the day, the tourism pays the bills here. Tourism is the thing that will allow us seed money to grow a more diverse economy here. We have to take care of it. You know, a lot of people complain we put $500,000 into a professional tourism bureau. But I got to tell you, in 2009 we put $500,000 in seed money and we got back $10 million. In 2016 we put $500,000 in, we're getting back $14 million. Pretty good investment. There's been a steady 7% rise. And I keep that TOT, 10-year TOT on my wall, and it doesn't show hiccups with the economy. It shows flat and steadily growing. So we have to pay attention to that golden goose. And I'll finish with what a resort developer told me when he had gone through our general plan and he was very interested in building a resort here. That he said, Mariposa not maximizing its tourism potential is like the most successful Iowa corn farmer waking up some morning and say, I think I'm going to grow pineapples. He said, you guys, God has handed you geography and position and a wonderful formula here, and it takes very little infrastructure, frankly. So we're very happy to work forward in that, and I'm very happy none of you chose to run against me. Father Steve, thank you for not running against me and taking me out. And thank you all again for coming tonight.
Thank you, Supervisor Cann. And then we'll start in our question and answer sessions, and I'll start with Debbie Cook, candidate, and then the next question will be to Jones, and then the third question will be to Miles Menetrey, and then so on and so forth. So the first question, maybe the question is as long as the answer, but this is a long question, okay? The Board of Supervisors is just, as candidate Cann has just alluded to, has adopted the Economic Vitality Strategy in 2007. What was provided for, and it was provided for in the 2006 General Plan. During February through April of this year, public input was actively sought regarding this plan, and the results were these 5 top categories. General plan revision and necessary zoning change as necessary. Make infrastructure improvements was number 2. Number 3 was develop a resort hotel conference center. Number 4 was hire an economic development director, and 5 was to coordinate and partner with UC Merced. Please respond to this community input regarding direction for economic vitality strategy.
Okay. I have just come in with attending the last Board of Supervisors meeting, maybe in the Board of Supervisors meeting before. There was a presentation for the Economic Vitality Strategy. So as I said earlier, it's a great time to come on board because I feel I was part of a small group in the 2007. So understanding this time, there were approximately 26 groups, individuals that came together to talk about what was important to them, and these were discussed. It seemed that the 2 most important goals were to strengthen tourism and making this a year-round destination, and to diversify economy. So how we move forward, there were some options that were discussed. Do nothing, hire a coordinator, economic development coordinator, and a few others, but the consensus was that I got that we need to listen to the people, and if they suggested these things and they feel passionate about these things, not an option. So moving forward, as the Board of Supervisors, they need to begin sitting down, and I have just part of it here because I was pretty excited about the thing. There are action items And it's basically listed out, but I think what we really need to do to move forward is to get that economic development coordinator person hired, because that person is going to have the expertise that we need to guide us to make things happen. And that's all we did.
Thank you. At any time, you can ask me to repeat the question if you'd like me to. Okay. Candidate Jones?
Would you mind repeating that
Oh,
question?
right, I can do that.
Because it was so long.
I know it was a long, it took 3 cards. Okay. The Board of Supervisors adopted an economic vitality strategy in 2007 that was approved for in the 2006 in the 2006 general plan. During February of this year through April, the public was invited to participate in the review of the plan. The top 5 priorities, action items, were garnered through this effort. So these are the top 5. Revising the general plan and zoning as necessary. Make infrastructure improvements was number 2. Develop a resort, hotel, commercial center was number 3. Hiring an economic development coordinator/director, and the last was partner with UC Merced. Please respond to this community input regarding direction for the economic vitality study. End of question.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I think our general plan does need to be looked at and tweaked just a little bit. I don't think we need to throw it all completely out, but there is certain things that I think we should look at and adopt. We have, like, for example, a sign ordinance. I think we should look at that. I think we have some of the permitted uses that we need to maybe look at those and not have so many conditional use permits. But first of all, I think to implement this, I think we would need to hire a coordinator, and we need to look at tourism as the #1 generator for this county and continue to improve on that. That is about a $14 million income to the county, which is about a little over 50% of our discretionary spending. Now that is our goose with the golden egg, that lays the golden egg. But then also too, I think we need to take and diversify. When I started my first company, it was laying some golden eggs. But then I went and got another goose, so I could get some more golden eggs. And that's what I think we need to do, is to diversify so we're not continually focused on this one goose that continues to lay the golden egg. And in turn, when we have a shutdown in the county or in the federal government and our revenue drops, we're not depending on one simple source of income. And it's not that hard to diversify. I think we can bring in some tech companies and work on our internet service here. So because faster internet services are going to bring those in. So I would focus a lot on hiring not just a regular coordinator, but a great coordinator. Because if we invest $10 in this coordinator, it's like our grant writer. And I said this when I hired the person, and she's sitting back there now. If I can put a dime in and I get $1 back, I'm going to keep sticking those dimes in and getting those dollars back. And that's what has happened with our great grant coordinator, Tara Schiff. And I think we can do the same thing here, is by getting a super coordinator, investing in tourism, and continuing to improve on that, continuing to generate, and this is continuing to rise, but to diversify and get another goose, laying some golden eggs for us, so we're not tied to just one simple source of revenue. That's what I did in the private sector, and that's what I would do in the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Menetrey?
So when I first started this campaign to seek this seat, I learned of the economic vitality strategy. I downloaded it, I read it, I thought it was a pretty good document. even though I guess it's close to 9 years old now. It has a lot of good stuff in it. And I went to several meetings that Tara organized, and the thing that came up over and over is the number one thing, is that something is wrong with the general plan and the zoning. It needs to be modified, it needs to be loosened. And I have to be honest with you, I've been, building for 26 years. I'm not up to speed on the general plan and what the zoning ordinances are, but I know that the people that were in these meetings, it kept coming up. So something's there that needs to be looked at. And I agree with the idea, or I support the idea of a hotel conference center. I think that would increase our TOT revenue. I think it would also give us the ability to draw in some companies from various areas to come enjoy our great little town and then come back with their families on the weekends, which also boosts our economy and our TOT. There was some other items in the economic vitality strategy that I think are also things that we can pursue in diversifying our economy. One of them was the arts. I met a gal this morning. I actually met her this morning at the Mariposa Business Association meeting, but I had been to her house yesterday, and her neighbor was telling me about her. She just moved into town, opened an art shop downtown. And I know that the arts put Sedona on the map, and that's something that will draw people to Mariposa. And another thing would be our outdoor activities, I think could be promoted a little better. We've got a great river down the hill. We've got great access to mountain dirt roads for mountain biking. When I was out talking to folks door to door, apparently bird watching is a huge event that folks flock to towns to do. And he was telling me that we've got some really good bird watching here. Another thing that could be promoted. I think it just boils down to action, and community also can be involved in helping us with this, but I think at the board level, if we could allow some things to progress, then it would benefit our community. And I support those ideas.
Thank you. Kenneth Carrier?
Chris, I just need some clarification on the 5 main goals. That's for the original 2007 Economic Vitality Strategy, correct?
This is the goals are the result of the recent work that was done by the 27 or so input from the community.
Okay, because I don't think we actually decided on the top 5.
No, those were the top 5 from the surveys. Not your top 5, the survey's top 5.
Okay, but we haven't finished yet the outreach. So some of those bubbles are getting large, but we still have to reach out to some stakeholders.
Right.
Some that were very significant that we left off. One was Yosemite National Park. We didn't get any input from them. The tribes, the leisure folks, DNC, Airmark, and the school district. So before I can really say those are our top 5, we really need to be careful on saying those are our top 5.
Those are the top 5 that we know of as of tonight.
I don't know that. So,
well,
but I will touch base on some of them.
Okay.
Because 2 weeks ago, the board approved 8 action items. I don't remember what all 8 action items are, but we were going to request that the stakeholders that we haven't reached out to, reach out, compile those. Our planning director would do a presentation regarding zoning and the explanation of what the different zones are, what's permitted, what the conditional use permit is. And just by the very nature, zoning and building laws are restrictive, and the existence is driven mostly by state, federal, and county mandates to provide applicable standards to county expansion activities. And if any of those standards are too restrictive or non-functional, then the Board of Supervisors can decide whether they're effective and change those if necessary. The UC Merced, the original report, their view of the economic strategy, we were way off base. You were in the meeting when we met with the Vice Chancellor of Innovations Lab, and I believe they can be a valuable partner. They can be a catalyst to help us incubate ideas and industry. The leisure industry could be expanded. We didn't reach out to them. But at the end of the day, to partner with UC, we need investors. And whether it be a conference center or resort type, we need investors. And we didn't reach out to DNC. They are the world's largest privately owned company, or the best one in the world. And we really haven't reached out to them as a county asking for help. Airmark is a $14 billion company, and we should be looking at them. I jokingly said we should look at the Donald Trumps of the world because they are resort developers. But we need to get input from folks like that to help us. Yes, we have ideas, but we need money behind to develop these things. So I think moving forward, if I'm elected my second term, I'm going to be reaching out to those investors and asking them what would it take for them to invest into our community. So a conference center conceptually I think is a good idea. It could be multi-purpose for the humanities. The school could use it. We could have large functions. It could also be used for emergency evacuation or command and control things. So overall, some of those things are good. I think as a county we need to move forward with those. And 2 weeks ago, the future of Mariposa changed when we, as the Board of Supervisors, approved those 8 action items. And I look forward to those action items being completed and then moving forward with the plan.
Thank you very much. Next question, we'll start with Candidate Jones. How much of the annual budget is discretionary, and what priorities do you suggest for these discretionary dollars? How much of the annual budget is discretionary, and what for these discretionary dollars?
Okay, thank you very much. The annual budget is roughly about $100 million, and the discretionary spending in that budget is about $25 million. Now, how we divide that up is, number one, I think we need to continue to invest in tourism. And we need to look at other options. For example, and I'm going to go back to diversifying, so we can get some more gooses that are laying some golden eggs, so we are not held to just tourism. Because out of that 25 million that is discretionary spending, there's about 14 million of that comes from our TOT tax. So if we lost that, we would lose our public libraries, our parks and rec. I mean, we would lose big time across this county. So as far as dividing it up, I would look at investing in more. You can pick any one of the economic development plans that I think the first one that I would probably look at is come up with investing in getting new companies started. And I know in my district I have started 6 new companies, and everybody is always looking at, we need to bring in this huge company. We can't do that in Mariposa County. We don't have a labor force. We don't have the low-income housing. So what I would look at is trying to create either within or bring in new companies from either a 10-person company. And a good example of that is the company that makes our chimes here in just out of town. Small companies like that can grow and sell nationwide, worldwide. And I think, but all too often we only look at bringing in huge, large tech companies. And that is not the way to diversify this county. Number one, our structure is not here, and we do not want to change, at least me as a supervisor, do not want to change the atmosphere of Mariposa County. And if we do, then we're going to lose a lot of people. And we need to make sure that the population grows and not shrinks in Mariposa County.
Thank you. Candidate Menetrey?
So I'll have to admit, I'm at a little disadvantage when it comes to talking about the budget and discretionary items and things of that nature. However, if I'm elected to represent District 5, I would be at the table, and I can speak to the things that I would suggest are important to spend discretionary funds on. And my first item would be our law enforcement and fire. Doug Benoise was elected sheriff of this community, and I would offer at the table that he get whatever tools he needs to keep us safe here. With regard to fire, I know we've already taxed to death with our state tax, which everybody complains about, myself included, and we are paying our $80 supplement with our property taxes, but it's an important thing. And you know, the district that I'm looking to represent is sitting up against a dead forest, and it's going to be very important this year. The fairgrounds, right up there at the top of items that I would put on the table for discretionary spending. And schools, the schools come under that. You know, we're cutting programs out of the school. I don't know if the schools are part of discretion. I have to admit, I'm at a disadvantage on what it gets spent for, but at the table, I'd like to bring my ideas and then get told, no, that's not a good idea, or yeah, that is a good idea. So I would just like to bring my perspective to it, and I would look out for the community as best I saw fit.
Thank you. Candidate Carrier?
Yeah, first I'll try to define discretionary funds. As Supervisor Jones said, our budget is a little over $100 million. 72 to 75% of that is passed through. It's state and federal mandates that we're required to spend on certain expenditures. And then so what's left over is $28 million or so. Some call that discretionary, but out of that discretionary, we fund public works, the sheriff's department, our parks and rec, all the various, the landfill operations, all the public safety things. So to say it's discretionary sometimes is misleading. And at the end of the day, we're always faced with the challenge of balancing the needs of the county with the revenue taken in. The county is increasingly tasked with increasing expenditures due to regulatory and organizational requirements with no compensating funding, which means that we're being tasked to provide more services with less revenue coming in. So it's always a challenge. And then also we're having to look at future obligations, and we have to make adjustments as needed. And we do that on a yearly basis during the budget process. So to say anything's really discretionary is misleading. It's like a balloon, and you squeeze one end of the balloon and it expands somewhere else. So the challenge is trying to balance the needs of the community with the state and federal requirements and then be able to provide. And the challenge is how do we get increased revenue? Nobody likes taxes, so TOT is 48% of our general fund, at almost $14 million. And so growing that or expanding smaller businesses, real estate, sales tax, so growing the branding of Made in Mariposa is one avenue to expand selling projects to increase taxes. That's a small increase compared to expansion of the leisure industry. So at the end of the day, it's challenging. I think Mariposa needs to look at trying to create an environment that's more receptive to bring in investors, to not only grow the tourism base, but also the recreation and humanities, along with small manufacturing, or just be an incubator of ideas where products could be designed and thought of here, but then scaled up and produced somewhere else. So discretionary is kind of a sensitive word.
Thank you very much. And lastly, on this question, Candidate Cook.
Okay, I want to hear it again, the question.
Oh, sure. How much of the annual budget is discretionary, and what priorities do you suggest for these discretionary dollars?
Okay, I have all their stuff in my head, so this is a little bit difficult for me. Actually, the budget too sits on my nightstand right next to my bed, this book like about this thick, and I've been going through it, and it is a lot to try to grasp onto. I would have to say that continuing to invest in tourism and diversifying, looking through the general plan, it has economic policies accomplish 3 key objectives: financial stability for delivery of county services, economic sustainability for business development, and diverse work opportunities for county residents. So, taking all that into mind, like the rest have been saying, you know, it's very difficult to try and balance and figure out what would go where and what would be the most important thing to start with. But these 3 items would be the key things that I would be considering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question, we're going to start with candidate Menetrey. What do you bring to the dais? Oh, excuse me. What do you bring to the dais? Well, I'm going to reword this because it doesn't make sense. What do you bring to the dais that makes you the best candidate? And how many hours will you dedicate to the job each week?
Oh, good question. What I bring to the dais is a lifetime of self-employment, a mindset for private business, the background of working as a self-employed individual, and I have been wanting to get that word out, so I'm glad this question was asked. If elected to this position, I will be giving up my general contracting practice and will be devoting 100% of my efforts to representing the folks in District 5.
Thank you very much. Candidate Carrier?
First of all, you'd be retaining the experience and skill sets that I've learned in my first term of office, the relationships I've built at the local level, the state level, and federal level with our electeds. But more importantly, the skills, knowledge, and abilities, the technical, human, and conceptual skills, where I have the technical knowledge of a vast array of subjects that the county faces. Like Supervisor Cann said, we deal with everything up here. We're cities. We don't have any incorporated cities, so we have to deal with water, wastewater, landfill issues, swimming pools. So having that technical knowledge, the human skill to be able to communicate with people at all levels, and all abilities, from not only talking to a citizen, but talking to somebody really technical, to talking to a politician, to be able to have them understand and comprehend the concerns that we have here for our county. Then the conceptual skills to try to visualize what will work in Mariposa, what fits best. And so at the end of the day, I've learned a lot in the last 3.5 years, and being able to retain my experience and abilities of the relationships that I built, I can continue to build on those and provide for the community and see Mariposa become more successful than what we've already seen in my first term.
Thank you very much. Candidate Cook?
Okay, I think the most important thing that I bring is the community perspective, with communication, collaboration, and connecting being the key factors. I didn't know when I moved to my little Coulterville area, just to be closer to the lake and have a little space, that community was going to become so important to me. I didn't know first responder because there was a need in the community. I didn't know that I would partner with a startup nonprofit to open the first ever John Muir Geotourism Center in our community. And I didn't know that I would use my publishing skills to help with the local telephone directory, write for the newspaper, and eventually become the owner. So I live in Mariposa County, I work in Mariposa County, I own a business in Mariposa County, and I serve in Mariposa County. I've been an active member and supported projects in all the communities. I've made my trips over here to Mariposa as well. A lot of people think, well, you know, it's all over there. Well, it's not all over there, it's over here too. You have to know what's going on over here to know what's going on and what you can do to help over there. And I'm a connector. I'm able to do that. I'm able to reach out and communicate at all levels. I'm always very passionate, and I just feel that that would be a huge benefit to getting some things done for the county in any aspect. Thank you.
Candidate Jones?
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
Oh, I'm just reading questions.
Well, first of all, I think my business experience and understanding budgets is probably one of the most important things I bring to this board. Because I think as a whole, I'm probably the only true business person on the board. I'm used to going over budgets when I was in the private sector. I had to. And when you have 4 multi-million-dollar businesses, budgets are very crucial. If you don't go over them, if you don't understand them, just like this county, you will financially be in a well of a hurt. As far as time spent, I think that was a good question. My wife keeps track of it better than I do, but I spend about 50 to 60 hours a week. This is the only job a person can do. If you try to do anything else, it won't work. The other thing, I think, in coming from the business world, I got a lot of government contracts, and doing this job here, I understand government contracts and how best to go over them and make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed, because believe me, if they can leave one out, they will. Also, too, I've enjoyed working with the current board. We have a great board. And I enjoyed working with the public, solving problems with the public. There was one today, for example, that I'll be getting solved. And I think having a good personality to work with the general public and work with the board to get things done. And the reason we were able to make these changes in our department heads was because I was able to work with the board, and we all came to a consensus that they needed to be replaced. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will start with candidate Carrier. This is two questions about TOT tax. The first question, we had several regarding that. The first question is, vacation rentals have absorbed much housing in the county. What solution do you have to provide affordable housing year-round? And the other part was, how does the county spend the TOT dollars? There's 2 questions.
The second one's easy.
I know, that's why I asked.
48% of our general revenue expenditures at the local level is spent. How we spend that, you'd have to look at our general budget. We provide fire, public works, DA, all the different departments get some of that funding. Without that funding, a lot of services wouldn't exist. Vacation rentals or affordable rentals being converted to vacation rentals is becoming a challenge to the county. We're almost at 5%. That is putting strains on folks that want to live and work here. But just by nature, we're a rural community, and trying to provide affordable housing in rural communities where we have to develop our own infrastructure can be challenging. So I think right now our planning department is going through trying to revise the housing element of the general plan, and through that there will be some recommendations, some public input. And at the end of the day, though, I think we'll have to seriously look at areas within the county that we can develop areas for residential housing, and then also areas for vacation rentals. Where areas that are remote and need infrastructure, water, wastewater, treatment plants, having vacation rental communities through economies of scale and the daily rates that they bring in, they could afford to develop those. On the other hand, the affordable residential housing will continue to be a challenge, and we just have to think outside the box, try to develop or look at our general plan and building codes to see what could be modified to bring those costs down.
Candidate Cook? Do you want me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
Vacation rentals have absorbed much housing in the county. What solutions do you have, or what solution do you have to provide affordable housing year-round? And then part B was, how does the county spend its TOT dollars?
Well, I'll admit, thank you, Supervisor Carey, because I didn't know that, what the percentage of the expenditures was. So I would have to just say I didn't know that one, so he gave that answer.
Okay.
Vacation rentals and what solution for affordable housing? That's a tough one. I haven't really read much up on that one. So I'm not really sure how I would have to answer, except that that is one of the things that, as I said, I don't know. I'll go ask the question and I'll find out. So I'll have to pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jones? Candidate Jones?
We're not laughing.
I know we're laughing.
Thank you.
We're laughing, but that's not why.
Okay, affordable housing, and it is becoming a huge problem in the county because the revenue that can be generated from vacation rentals. And I never blame anybody for taking a house and turning it into a vacation rental when they can actually, the payback on that for investment is normally about 7 to 9 years. So that's a very good return on your money. So I never gripe at anybody that does that. But the one thing to solve that problem that I have started and done in District 2 is there's a lot of, I call them fixer-uppers, that I have went through. In fact, I think we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them now, that I go through and clean them up, fix them up, and that becomes low-income housing. They're not slumlords, but they are nice homes when I get through. And I have a contractor sitting back there that has done a lot of it for me. And I think that's one thing that we could look at countywide. The other thing too with the affordable housing is we need maybe some zoning change so we can put in some housing that investors will look at, that will be an encouragement for them to build. And I'm getting my yellow card, so I better continue on with the other. But anyway, I think there's plenty of room for increasing our affordable housing by changing some of the zones. And with the TOT, that goes to all of our services. Let's just face it, the $14 million out of the 25 for discretionary spending, it's really not discretionary because we're bound to spend some of it. So it goes for all of our services. So I got my red flag up there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Menetrey?
I think the affordable housing situation goes back to the, call it complaints or concerns that came up with regard to our general plan and zoning. I think if the county recognizes that we have a problem with affordable housing, then we should work to alleviate whatever is keeping us from allowing that affordable housing to be built. And I think that's something that the board can do. I understand that the rules can be changed 4 times a year, the plan can be changed, and recognizing that we have a need, we should make the changes necessary to accommodate that need and just get it done for the folks that are here. And with regard to the TOT, this number I have here, this was from the Mariposa Tourism Bureau. They gave a nice presentation to the board last Tuesday, and the statistics I have are 45%, or $11.4 million of the county's discretional spending budget was generated by the TOT. And as Supervisor Jones and Supervisor Carrier said, that goes into the purse and gets spent on what we need to spend it on.
Thank you very much. Our fifth question, I was going to start with Debbie Cook. You drew a number 1. So there we go. This is a 2-part question again because they were both, I thought that they both needed to be recognized. These are both public safety questions. Under the pressure of AB 109 and Prop 47, which were handed down to counties and cities to mandate, along with increasing drug use in our county, will you prioritize public safety in order to help maintain our safe communities? And then the second question is, can we get more pay for our volunteer firefighters? So I will read those 2 again. Under pressure of AB 101 and Prop 47, along with increased drug use, will you prioritize public safety in order to help maintain our safe communities? And would you please address pay for the volunteer firefighters? You can have a minute to think about that.
Okay, for me, the AB 109, Prop 47, or will I prioritize public safety? Absolutely. I mean, if the public isn't safe, then we're all in trouble. That's just a given for me. That whatever we need to do to provide public safety just has to be done, bottom line. We all know of the incident that happened with one of our deputies, and we were very lucky that it wasn't worse than it was. But for that reason alone, whatever the sheriff's department needs to protect the community just has to happen. Can we get more pay for our volunteer firefighters? That, I'm really not sure. I know that as a firefighter, right now we get, it's like $10 per call when we go on a call. We get more if we're contracted with CAL FIRE to stay for longer than a couple hours, or whatever that might be, depending on what type of incident it is and all of that. I don't know, if you talk to the volunteer firefighters, most of us really aren't in it for the pay. I mean, $10 barely pays for my gas, really, to get me in the car and get me where I need to be. So I really don't know. We haven't, as a volunteer, I can't say that I have looked for anything for increasing the pay for our volunteer firefighters.
Thank you. Candidate Jones?
Thank you very much. Yeah, when AB 109 was passed, that changed the rules a lot, especially for crews that could go out and help do projects, because these were now released and we could not use them any longer. This, as far as supporting our sheriff's department, I think everybody that knows me knows that from day one, I've supported the sheriff 110%. Our sheriff's department is probably one of the best departments that we have, and we have one of the best leaders in the sheriff's department, Doug Benawies. Anytime that we have needed pay for the sheriff's department, I've never hesitated 1 inch on not fulfilling what we need to support our deputies, the sheriff himself, because without safety in this county, none of us will want to live here. And the department has done, in my opinion, one fantastic job. And why he took on the fire department, I'll never know. But thank you, Doug, for doing that. And as far as volunteers, volunteer means a certain word. It means volunteer, no pay. If you start paying volunteer firemen, you're going to have to start paying scope. You're going to have to start paying every person else that volunteers. So the word volunteer means you volunteer, you don't get paid. If you don't want to volunteer, don't do it. And that's probably in plain, simple terms. But when I hear people saying, I'm a volunteer, but I should get paid. And I know I've been slammed before because here a few years ago when our fire department came and promised that certain volunteers would get paid for fighting on fire. And it came before the board and I voted against it. They said that they would walk, and that's what he claimed when we had an emergency board meeting. And at that time, I voted against it because they are volunteers. If they don't want to be volunteers in any shape or form, then don't join. And I know and I appreciate every volunteer there is out there. We need all the volunteers we can, but you have to understand that when you are, then there is no pay included. So with that, I'll just say, Sheriff, keep up the good work. Any support you need, I'm here to give it to you. Thank you.
Candidate Menetrey?
Yeah, I'm surprised at that question. I didn't know that volunteer fire people got paid. So like I said in my opening, I've been a volunteer, a true volunteer with the Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue Team for 15 years, going into my 16th season, and we never thought about asking for anything except for maybe some gas along the way when we're out there for days on end. But I'm surprised to hear that. I didn't know, and I would agree with Supervisor Jones. If you're a volunteer, you're a volunteer. With regard to the Sheriff's Department, again, I have personal relationships with a lot of the folks in the department. I have to say it again, 15 years. Pelp Richards was the sheriff when I started with the search and rescue team, and Doug Benoise was my search and rescue deputy coordinator at the time. So we have young men as deputies right now that were high school students that I mentored through the program. So I absolutely, unconditionally support the Sheriff's Department, and like Merlin said, anything that he needs to do his job, he can count on me supporting him.
Thank you. So, a candidate carrier.
The county has the responsibility for the health, safety, and welfare, along with the mitigation of property damage wherever possible. And yes, the Sheriff's Department needs to be supported, and yes, we do probably have per capita more deputies than like counties. And we have that because of a reason. We have tourism here, and that is our golden goose that lays the egg. And we have to make sure that our communities are safe, tourists feel comfortable coming into an environment that they can spend their vacations and their vacation dollars here. But without knowing specifics on, well, you did mention AB 109 and Prop 47.
Correct.
That is causing a strain to not only our Sheriff's Department, but it's also to our probation, our DA, the jail, our human services, our affiliates, CORE, and so and then also the courts. So it's an all-encompassing issue. And just to take one department out of that equation wouldn't be fair to the rest of the law enforcement or public safety or the folks that are tasked with prosecuting or investigating. So through the CCP, which is the Community Corrections Partnership that the state established to allow local control and bring all those stakeholders to the table to discuss the issues and collectively come up with ideas, and the state has allowed us to think outside the box and give us flexibility, and that is one committee that I can truly say we have thought out of the box, and it has worked. Under the leadership of our probation department, he's had flexibility. He could have added more officers to his department, and instead he's put money aside so that we could expand the jail. And at some point, yes, we'll probably need 1 or 2 more officers once that jail is completed. We've added the school district to that. The public defender is now attending. The judges typically attend. And so we're throwing out the issues. What does the community face? What are the challenges, and how do we resolve it collectively as a team? So my first thing would be, if something came before me as a board of supervisor, my first question is, does the Community Corrections Partnership support it? And if they do, then more than likely I would go along with it because I know their process and I know what they do. Volunteer firefighters, by nature, volunteer is a volunteer. We provide them with state-of-the-art equipment, personal protection gear, training. It is a huge commitment for the volunteers, but at the same time, volunteerism comes at a high cost to the county too. So it is a delicate balance, and again, that would be, to me, all the public safety folks getting together, coming up with solutions that the board could look at collectively and see what's best for the community. We live on volunteerism, and we couldn't do half the things that the county does without that.
Thank you very much. That was our last question. We'll start with our closing statement, and we'll start this time with candidate Carrier.
I got too many papers up here. 4 years ago, I was a new candidate going door to door listening to citizens. And I was fortunate in the sense that the Board of Supervisors was experiencing a vacancy and there was an opportunity to elect a new supervisor. I got elected, and though I thought it would not be as difficult to jump in and start doing my job, I really felt like a rookie draft pick playing in the major leagues. I saw 4 individuals hard at work, attempting to carry out their duties and not arriving at a consensus. Each supervisor wanted to pass agenda items without having to ask staff to resolve concerned issues. During my first year, I realized the Board of Supervisors had the quality and needed to research items presented to the board so that they could vote and continue on with other responsibilities. Quality management results in quality accomplishments. Today, Mariposa County's Board of Supervisors has that trait, whether they know it or not. Listening and consensus building are skills needed to attain these goals and objectives. Today, the staffing in all our departments, the people you can meet at county events or bump into while shopping, or on the engines that keep things running, or they are the engines that keep things running. And to quote Supervisor Long, they're doing the yeoman's work. I was asked a great question about the future of Mariposa County on the economic vitality. And my answer to that is today, you, the voter, essentially has the future of Mariposa in their hands. I want to live in Mariposa County with my wife, kids, and grandchildren, and I want them to have job opportunities, and I want them to be safe and healthy. So your choice today is to elect the most qualified county supervisor who has dedicated his lifetime to this county and will continue to do so. So I'm asking for your vote on June 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Menetrey?
So as I said, I've been in the county for 26 years. I've been a general contractor, working all over the county, commercial projects, home remodels, building homes. And it's very difficult for me to pat myself on the back, but I have never once put an ad in the paper in this community. And I say that because it speaks to my character, it speaks to my honesty, it speaks to my drive to get projects done. Excuse me. And 3.5 years ago, when Jim Allen announced that he was not going to seek re-election, the folks that are behind me today wanted me to run 5, but I had a house I was in the middle of building and I wasn't able to do it. We talked about it for 3 years. I got all my ducks in a row, got my projects done in December so that I could spend the last 4 months campaigning, going out, meeting folks, telling them what I'm about. I'm Mariposa through and through. I've been involved in this community since I got here, and I would really like to represent the folks of District 5 sitting here on the board, and I would appreciate your consideration in June.
Thank you. Candidate Jones?
Thank you very much. You know, 4 years ago I was retired. Life was pretty good. Then I realized I did not serve in the military. And I decided that everybody should give back to this country because this is such a great country we live in. So I chose to take the next part of my life and donate it back to this country. And one way was to serve on this board, which is a great board. So I served for 4 years, really enjoyed the job, we got a lot accomplished, but I still have a list of about 4 things that I need, that this county still needs to get done. And one of them is securing water for the people of Lake Don Pedro and Coulterville, and that's why we need the MID contract, and we need a good one. Not just a regular contract, but a good one. And that is improving the roads in District 2. And I came up with a way where we can trade roads that are not being used that don't have people on them for roads that do have people on them. And it won't cost the county any more money. The third thing is to improve fire protection. Right now, in Greeley Hill, for example, we have basically 1 volunteer fireman. If it wasn't for CAL FIRE, we'd be in a whale of a hurt. So what I would like to do is work on a plan where CAL FIRE and our volunteers all work together. Then jobs in developing fast internet service. And I would like to ask your vote on June 7th. And when you vote for me, you get my wife with me. And she is my boss, and she'll do a great job. So thank you very much, and I look forward to continuing on supporting District 2.
Thank you. Candidate Cook?
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for participating tonight. It's about community. I keep talking about community and collaboration and communication and all of that. And for me, the best way for me to describe it is I've been studying this general plan, and it keeps coming back to who we are and what we stand for. And so I just want to read this, that the essence of rural character in Mariposa County is the people, the volunteerism, and the commitment to the local community. Rural character ranges from those volunteering to be part of county government, to those who pick up litter along the roads, to people helping people, running errands, and watching their neighbors' kids. While the general plan does not define rural character, it does provide the policy tools that ensure that the county's residents, whether living on a 5,000-acre ranch or a home in the town of Mariposa, can continue to define and preserve local character for the next generation. I really believe in this. I believe in our community. I believe in what we can do as a community. I believe in my ability, like I said, to take action. And I'm asking for your vote June 7th because I am a doer. I have the time to give. I no longer have the full-time job in Modesto. I finished my commitment to the John Muir Geotourism Center. I now own the newspaper, which is part of a communication tool. And I just think that I would just be great at making things happen. I love it here. I love the people. And vote for me June 7th. Thank you.
And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Chris Casto for the fantastic job she has done.
Well, wait a second. We're not done yet. You might.
I'm still thanking you.
Okay, I accept your thank you. But I just want to thank you folks for putting your name in the hat, in the ring, and taking a risk and a gamble. And we appreciate your diligence, your respect, your courtesy, your thoughts, and your thoughtful approach to tonight's evening. So now we can clap. Let's clap. Let's clap really, really loud.